Welcome back to Simply Fujica, a place for budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. My name is Fujica and I serve this community as a business mentor and I help people start their home care agencies. I've been looking at a lot of content and even reading materials on aging in place. And because that's essentially our business, I thought it would be a good video to talk about how can your home care agency partner with your client to ensure they are aging in place in a safe manner. As you all know, I'm always talking about how do you differentiate yourself with other home care agencies local to your area. And this is one of those ways. Anytime you can partner with your client and deliver that white glove service that I like to talk about, that's always going to be a win-win for both you and your clients. So if that's something that you're interested in, then stay tuned. So let's talk about age in place. What does that even mean? So aging in place is the ability for a person who is able to independently and comfortably age while they are at home. So as the client's agency, you are going to partner with them to improve that aging in place experience. And I've come up with 5 tips on how you can do that. So the first way in which you could do that is assess home safety. This should certainly take place at the beginning of your home assessment before they start service, because if discovered during that time, it could certainly be a part of that care plan. But not only at that time, as you continue to take care of this client, we really should be assessing the home to ensure that it is safe. So some examples of that is water on the floor or slippery floors can always be a red flag for slip and falls. But take it a step further, what about uneven surfaces? Poor lighting, just obstacles, different things on the floor so that as they walk, they can trip, they can fall. Just things of that nature, making sure that the client is able to move about in a safe manner. The second tip that I have for you is to create a single living space. Now, this is more for our clients that have an upstairs, downstairs. Sometimes you'll see a 3-level home. So we really, especially if the person is not moving around, maybe they're not as mobile as they were previously, we want to limit their interactions going up and down the stairs, especially if they don't have handrails. So what I like to do is take that person's nice to haves, so their remotes, maybe notebooks, maybe some paperwork that they're working at that time, and get them in an essential living area. A lot of times that's the living room, right? Because they continue to watch TV, listen to the radio. They may have a TV tray or a stand where they can put all of their items, their magazines and newspapers, so that they continue moving on with the things they typically do in the day without sacrificing the safety. And so another tip that I like to add here is make sure there's good lighting and make sure that that person is comfortable. So if they like to sit in their favorite chair, for example, just making sure there are pillows for them and everything that they need is within arm's reach. The third tip that I have for you is improving lighting. Now, this is, of course, the client's home. But as their trusted partner, the client will be willing to listen, at least listen to your suggestions, even if they don't implement them. If you can see, for instance, in their restroom that the lighting is a little bit on the dark side, you want to say something about that. Because again, as water is falling off the sink and moving about in different places, that increases the likelihood of a slip and fall. And so you just want to make sure that you do an assessment, at least in the areas that are most used. What does that lighting look like? Can you add a lamp? Is there a different wattage of bulb that can be used? These are easy things that you can identify so that you can make those appropriate suggestions to your client. This fourth tip is how we're really going to help that client. And we're going to recommend that they install accessibility features. Now again, you certainly cannot make the client do anything. However, in the spirit of care, in the spirit of excellence, you can suggest the following. Adding safety rails to not only their staircase, but inside their bathroom and even close to the sinks. Especially if the person's mobility is coming into question, you want to try to make sure that their home is safe for them. Another place that you can put grab bars or safety railing is on the side of tubbing to make it easier for them to get in and out of the tub in an easier way. But even some things that aren't as costly as slip mats. So can we put rubber mats, slip mats, things of that nature in the bathroom if we can't get the rails? Can we hang up toothpaste and maybe their toothbrush and their towels are hung up on a closer wall to ensure that they're not having to overreach when they're getting ready in the morning, or when they're doing their personal care early in the morning. These are the types of things that aren't as expensive but can make a difference in a client's life. Another example of this is lever style knobbing. The fifth and final tip that I have for you is enhancing communication. Now, communication is always going to be key in any relationship, and the client-agency relationship is really no exception. The first thing I want to point out here is making sure however the client communicates, so whether it's with a landline or whether it's with a cell phone, those types of things should be within arm's reach. We really don't want to have that person. So I always say, set that person up for success. So when that shift is over, because certainly while your caregiver is there, then they can assist, right? But as soon as that caregiver leaves, where are their communication devices? Is their cell phone in front of them? Is it on that tray that I talked about earlier? If they use a landline, is that landline in arm's length if there's an emergency? These are the types of things you can do to ensure that your client is set up for success. Now, another suggestion that I have here is you have seen some of our clients with the medical alert bracelets. Sometimes they'll have something around their neck and it's on their lanyard where they can press if there is some kind of medical emergency. So if we think it's time for that client to look into something like that, maybe having that conversation gently and sensitively with that client and that client's family so that you can make those suggestions, especially if this person is still living independently and is at risk for having any type of incident. Again, this is a conversation that if your caregiver has made any types of observations that they've shared with you, it may be more appropriate for you as a home care agency owner to have that conversation. But again, it's after establishing that rapport and building that relationship, making the suggestion and putting it back on the client to make that final decision. The last item I'm probably going to discuss here is the video screening. So we all are familiar with the video doorbells. Most of us utilize Ring. That way this person does not have to get up and answer the door frequently throughout the day if they don't need to. Also, it's a good way for them to see who's at the door and not answer if they don't choose to, right? That's the beauty of Ring, because Ring will, of course, say that you're not available. Okay, so these are just some tips that I came up with. Of course, there's a lot more. I would love to hear from you in the comment section. How do you partner? If you're an agency owner or a caregiver, how do you partner with your clients so that they can safely age in place? I would love to hear from you. Before you leave, if you did enjoy today's content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification so that you're notified each and every time I release a new video. And if you haven't already, pick up my new book, Goodnight, Boo. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Stay blessed. I am so excited to share that I have published my first book, Goodnight, Boo. Goodnight, Boo is not only a dream come true, but it's essentially a love letter to my first child. It's really talking about the joys of wanting to have a child and finally having that child. So I really do think this is something that all mothers can relate to. We certainly love our babies. We want the best for our babies, and this book celebrates that. So if you would like to support me and purchase a copy of the book, the link is in the description. As always, I want to thank you for your support.